In the journey of life, we often chase success, stability, and respect. But sometimes in that chase, we forget the most important thing: connection. Today on Learn and Success, we bring you a heart-touching story of a father and son, a story of silence, distance, and the quiet pain of unspoken love. But most of all, it's a story of redemption, of a father who finally learned to see, and a son who chose to forgive. So sit back and let this emotional journey unfold, because sometimes the strongest love is the one that waits, quietly, on a bench by the lake. The bench by the lake. Every Sunday without fail, an old man named Arvind would sit on a weathered wooden bench by the lake, feeding birds and watching the ripples dance across the water. He had been doing this for over 30 years. Some people in the town thought he was just a lonely soul stuck in a routine. But only a few knew the truth: that bench held a lifetime of memories of love, loss, and redemption. Arvind had once been a man of dreams. As a young father, he wanted to give his only son, Karan, the best life imaginable. He worked 2 jobs, built a small home, and saved every extra rupee for Karan's education. But somewhere along the way, the lines blurred between providing and parenting. Karan was a quiet child, thoughtful and sensitive. He loved books, music, and drawing, things Arvind never truly understood. To Arvind, success meant a stable job, a strong handshake, and respect in society. Karan wanted to be an artist. "No one earns a living by painting trees and mountains," Arvind had said once, dismissing a sketch Karan had proudly shown him. Those words hit Karan hard. He stopped showing his art, stopped sharing his dreams. He studied business, just like his father wanted. On the outside, he obeyed, but on the inside, he was slowly breaking. Their relationship became one of silence, cordial but cold. They never fought loudly, but the absence of warmth was louder than any argument could have been. At 21, Karan left for Mumbai. "I need to find myself," he had said. Arvind just nodded, not realizing those words would be the last they'd exchanged for nearly 10 years. Letters were few, calls even fewer. Arvind would ask how he was, and Karan would respond politely, but the distance remained, emotional and physical. Then one day, Arvind received a letter. It wasn't from Karan, but from a gallery in Mumbai. "Mr. Arvind Mehta, we are honored to invite you to your son Karan's first solo exhibition, titled Reflections of a Silent Childhood. The event is on the 10th of June at the White Feather Gallery. We hope you can attend." Arvind held the letter for days. Part of him was proud. Part of him was ashamed. He had missed every moment of Karan's artistic journey. The sketches he once dismissed were now being celebrated. But was he even welcome? On June 10th, Arvind took the early train to Mumbai. He arrived just as the gallery opened. The walls were covered in breathtaking paintings: forests in monsoon, children playing in fields, and a familiar lake under a golden sky. One painting stopped him in his tracks. It was a simple scene: a bench by a lake with a small boy holding a sketchbook and an older man looking away. The title read, "What He Never Saw." Arvind felt a lump in his throat. That was their bench, that lake, and that moment. He remembered it clearly now. Karan had been trying to draw the birds. He had looked up, smiling, but Arvind had been too busy reading the newspaper. Tears welled in his eyes. "Beautiful, isn't it?" a voice said behind him. Arvind turned to see Karan, older with tired but kind eyes. "I didn't know you'd come," Karan said. "I didn't know how much I had missed," Arvind replied, his voice trembling. There was silence between them, heavy but not bitter. "I never stopped loving you," Arvind whispered. "I just didn't know how to show it." Karan smiled faintly. "I painted it out, one canvas at a time." They stood there, both wounded and healing in the same breath. That evening, they sat on a bench outside the gallery, just like the one by their old lake. "Come home for a while," Arvind said, placing a gentle hand on his son's shoulder. "I want to see the world through your eyes." Back in their hometown, the bench by the lake still stood strong, older now, like Arvind, but this time he wasn't alone. Every Sunday, he and Karan would sit there, side by side, talking, sketching, or just watching the birds. People began to notice something had changed. The old man didn't just feed the birds anymore. He smiled more, laughed softly, and sometimes he even painted. When asked what made the difference, he'd simply say, "I learned that loving someone means listening to their dreams, not just building your own." And on that old bench by the lake, a father finally met his son, not as a parent or provider, but as a friend and as a man who had finally learned how to love. And that was the story of a father and son, two hearts separated by silence, reunited by love. Sometimes we don't need big gestures, just a few words, a little understanding, and the courage to say, "I'm proud of you," or "I'm sorry." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Have you ever experienced something similar? We'd love to hear your story. Subscribe to Learn and Success for more emotional, inspiring tales that remind us of the values that truly matter in life: love, family, and forgiveness. Until next time, stay kind, stay humble, and keep learning. This is Learn and Success, where stories shape hearts.